Today we're going to talk about small biopsy tissue specimens and the best way to keep them safe during processing. These tiny pieces of tissue can be really challenging to handle, and if they're lost, you can't just go back and take the same sample again. That's why it's so important to use the right method to retain them in cassettes. When a tissue specimen is very small, or if it shrinks during processing, it can actually slip through the slats of a standard cassette. Once that happens, depending on when it happens, it could be lost forever. And tissue specimens are irretrievable. Even if the specimen is found, it can be tricky to verify whose specimen it actually is. To prevent this, there are a few different tools and techniques that grossing staff can use, but one is significantly better than the rest, and this method may surprise you. Let's compare the options. Option 1, mesh cassettes. One option is a mesh or micro mesh cassette. These come with much smaller holes, and sometimes they're even divided into little compartments. They do a good job of holding tiny specimens, but the small holes can also impede reagents flowing in and out of them. That can lead to substantial carryover between processing reagents, and sometimes it even creates artifacts in the finished slide. Another option are sponges. You simply place one sponge in the cassette and the biopsy on top, and then cover it with another sponge. This definitely holds the tissue in place, but the trade-off is that sponges cause a lot of reagent carryover. That means that your reagents degrade faster and your processing quality can suffer. Mesh bags are a third option. You pour the specimen into the bag, fold it up to fit in the cassette, and process it that way. Bags are actually a nice middle ground. They allow good reagent flow and create much less carryover than sponges or mesh cassettes. The main drawback is that they can be a little tricky to open once they're saturated in paraffin. If you pull too hard, the bag can pop open and your specimen might jump out. Finally, the option we recommend most often, perm papers. These are easy to find even at beauty supply stores, and they're great for fluid exchange. They don't tear easily, and if they're folded correctly, they're also simple to open during embedding. They are also very cost-effective versus the other options. The key here is the folding method. If the paper is just folded in half or crumpled, it's harder to open later, and you run the risk of tearing it and losing the specimen. Instead, we suggest a simple folding technique that's a bit like origami. Place the specimen in the center of the paper, fold the corners over so they overlap, then fold it again, leaving two little tabs sticking out. Those tabs make it really easy to open later without tearing the paper or losing the sample. So, to wrap up, there are several ways to secure small biopsy specimens: mesh cassettes, sponges, bags, and perm papers. Out of all of these, the folding method with perm papers is our suggestion because it keeps the tissue contained, allows good fluid exchange, and makes embedding straightforward. If perm papers aren't available, biopsy bags are the next best choice. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe for more histology tips and tricks.